Welcome to the Coach Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Keren Eldad. Settle in. We're about to make you feel really good. There comes a moment when the life you built stops fitting, and the life you're meant for starts calling you. Today's guest answered that call, and she answered it with 4 kids, a full career, and a heart that was ready to go deep. Welcome back to the Coach Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Keren Eldad, and we are continuing the Coaching Masters series by showing you the flip side of the teaching coin, which is the students of coaching. We're diving into a conversation with someone who has been very, very special to me and who embodies for me one of my favorite realities of the work, which is that reinvention is not only possible, it's inevitable when you commit to the truth and are willing to face it. My guest today, Courtney Key Dalberg, has spent years in real estate, excelling, providing, and holding a great deal as a mother of 4. Her life was full when we met, but beneath the surface, she was carrying an entire world of responsibilities, of pressure, of unspoken longing, of aimlessness. After her divorce, she found herself standing in the space between the life she built and the life that she knew she was meant for. Through coaching and through our work together, through deep inner work, and through teachers like Lacey Phillips and our very good friend Jessica Gill from To Be Magnetic, she is now live with us in Austin through all of this journey, and she has already begun rewriting her story, has already started the new chapter, building a coaching practice, launching a podcast, and rooted deeply in her authenticity, in her alignment, and in the truth. This conversation is going to be about reinvention that happens, about what the work is to get to that place, about the reclamation of the person you always were, and the moment you stop performing and start embodying your life. Courtney, I'm so happy that you're here. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Heavy introduction.
I feel like I'm going to cry.
Have you thought about it? Have you thought about
start.
There was an ad in the 90s that was in every single Vogue that I read as a baby Voguer. And it was Virginia Slim's The Cigarettes. And it read, "You've come a long way, baby." That quote really comes to mind because over the last 8 months, you've come a long, long way.
I know. I actually feel like really overwhelmed with that introduction. Made it sound like I'm already on the other side of it all, but I'm really in the middle of it.
Do you think anyone is on the other side?
I don't know.
Have I given you the impression that the inner journey ends?
Well, I did listen to Imposter Syndrome this morning to prep for this. So, we all think everybody has it together.
We really do, but nobody does. We are all a work in progress, and what really does happen, guys, there's no arrival, just letting you know. What really does happen is you just become kind of used to it. It's sort of like when I was 13, I became obsessed with roller coasters. The first time was terrifying. The second time was still kind of scary. The 17th time, you know exactly what's going to happen. You know exactly where the loops are. So it's just becoming more and more of a thrill.
Yeah.
That's what arrival really is like. It's not that all of a sudden the roller coaster becomes a nice flat journey on a waterbed.
Really boring.
It would be exactly.
None of us want that.
None of us want that.
Yeah.
You grew up in Springfield, which is a world far, far, far from where your life has unfolded. I want you to take us back to the beginning. I got to get a glimpse of you as a child and as a person who grew up in a certain environment this weekend, just thanks to your sisters being here. Mm-hmm. Every time we get exposed to siblings and to partners and to parents, we get other dimensions of the person. So it's why it's so delicious to get to meet people in your orbit. Take us to the beginning. How did you grow up? Where did you grow up? And then how does that develop you?
Yeah. Well, I have to tell you something funny. So I was doing a prep podcast with one of my best friends, Jill, yesterday. And what she said to me, like the quote that I gave her before my journey was, why would anybody do therapy? I don't think I'd need to do it because I wouldn't have anything to talk about.
That's funny.
I know. And I thought about that because that was probably when I was like 35. And I just didn't have the ability to look back at my life and say anything other than it was perfect because I thought that would be, not kind of a service to my parents. And so because I did have a great childhood, we moved from Southern California when I was 8 And I'm very, very grateful that I grew up in the Midwest, but I'm also happy to not live there anymore, I think like many people. So really close with my older sister, Kathleen. She's 4 years older. You got to meet her. We're completely different, so we never had any competition with one another.
Yeah.
Like truly just my deep, deep love.
Mm-hmm.
She's incredible. My younger brother, 7 years younger than me. I mean, he was just kind of my little buddy. I treated him like my sister treated me, which
Yeah.
was just like an equal. He would wait up for me every night when I would get home from high school to like watch Dumb and Dumber and hang out. But I had really loving, supportive parents. My dad is kind of my hero. I grew up on Stephen R. Covey. The reason we moved from California to Southern California is because it was important to my dad to be able to take us to school. And so I remember every morning we'd go in his white Chevy truck on the way to school. We'd listen to the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People and listen to country music. And so, we went to the lake a lot. It was sports. Yeah. It was wholesome.
It was very wholesome.
Yeah.
I want to outline what's really nice about your story that I hope resonates with a subset of our audience. A lot of us grow up with a very, very nice household. It's a tremendous privilege. Like you, like me, like Brene Brown. We also always end up, many cases end up with a very interesting form of invulnerability. Mm-hmm. What's there to look at? Brene Brown famously in her first TED Talk, the one that went viral, The Power of Vulnerability, says she got to her first therapist's office and said, listen, I know I need to get from here to there, but I don't want to do any of this let's talk about mom stuff because it's completely irrelevant to me. This is hilarious.
Yeah.
I, too, was very arrogant for a very long time, and I didn't even know it. I literally thought that I was being the opposite of arrogant. I was just not navel-gazing. Navel-gazing to me felt like a waste of energy that was for other people, sad people who didn't have very nice childhoods. This is incorrect. And by the way, what was really happening was we were just unwilling to look at our childhoods and ask the right questions.
We were taught that, you just kind of grin and bear it, and you sacrifice whatever you need to for the family to make it all work.
Yeah.
And you kind of just, there was kind of, as I did a lot of the TBM stuff, a lot of the inner child work, I realized there was a lot of conflict, no repair. And it's something that I realized I would never do to my kids. A lot of conflict, no repair, and a thought process of we're perfect on the outside. If anything happens on the inside that we don't want to share, we kind of keep it all in. And then, of course, a good Catholic upbringing with an incredible amount of pain, shame, and guilt that I still carry, as you know.
Well,
we're unblocking it.
The Jews certainly share this kink. I enjoyed sharing a story about my sister this weekend. When I was young, my youngest sister didn't like to eat. And my mother would always say, if you don't eat, then I have failed as a mother. This isn't an iconic Jewish phrase that is comedy. This is real. And so we do grow up with this. And what's really important is just examine it. There's no reason to have resistance around it or shame around it or anything like that. Just look at it. And that's really the point of what I like to see shadow work as. It's not a let's beat ourselves up and flagellate and spend a lot of time reliving the past or relitigating the past, which is even worse. Let's literally just objectively look at what's happened and start understanding where the patterns are coming from so that we can actually truly live a free life. Now, you've already touched on some very nice nuggets that have made you prone to perfectionism and to a really solid, I've got it all together exterior. Let's talk about
what I do, Keren.
Let's talk about how it manifests. You end up with a career, with a husband, with children. Mm-hmm. How does this all end up packaging itself?
Well, I'm a hopeless romantic, and all I've ever wanted is love. I hope my parents definitely, for all the things we could get into, I believed I could do anything, and there's never. So I always wanted to have a big career. I wanted to be my dad's a physician. Of course, I wanted to be a physician. So I went to University of Denver. They said, go somewhere you're going to live. I knew I wasn't going to go back to California. I knew I wasn't going to stay in Missouri. And so that was really sound advice. Go somewhere where you think your friends are going to stay, where you're going to go, and where you want to kind of build your life. So I started pre-med and then realized That was kind of the first moment where I chose to do the opposite. And called my parents and was like, I don't think this is for me. I literally couldn't be more miserable. I fucking hate it. Sorry, I don't know if we're allowed to say that word.
This is a fuck-friendly.
Okay, we can take it out.
An expletive-friendly
I was like, wait, I'm in an OChem lab by myself, studying all the time, having to work exceptionally hard for these grades, putting in so much effort because it was pushing water uphill. And was like, and these people in the business school just get to chat and hang out and like ski on Fridays. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was like the first time I started. I went the opposite of what I thought I was going to do. But I definitely had some like holes in my heart, but I really kind of my goal was I definitely wanted a big career, and I wanted to fall in love and have a family that I'd have forever. I mean, divorce was never an option. Absolutely not an option.
Yeah.
Divorce would ruin your life. In fact, when I told my dad I was going to separate from Max, and my dad is my hero of my life, he said, you're at a crossroads in your life and you're ruining it and you'll never find anyone better than Max. I said, you know what, Dad? You're wrong. And it was like the first time I stood up to him and I cried. And then I kind of shut him out for many, many, many months. And he came back to me. He came around. But anyway, I forget the question. What was the rest of it?
This is how you roll into the life of perfect appearances.
Oh, right.
The first time, though, that you did stand up to your parents in perhaps a smaller way was in intuitively understanding that this chem lab situation is not for me and doing, quote unquote, the opposite. The opposite is a concept that recurs here and in coaching.
It's one of my favorite principles.
The best
when you mentioned it to me, it was one of those I didn't understand. I had to go like write it all out to understand it.
Well, let's tell people what this is. The idea has come to me, at least. I'm sure other people have found their ways around this from an epic episode of Seinfeld, which your beloved loves. It's the episode called The Opposite, and in it, George Costanza walks in going, where did my life go wrong? I was nice, I was well-meaning, I was relatively smart. How have every one of my decisions turned out to blow up in my face? And that's when he realizes that every decision he's made has been wrong, and therefore the opposite of that decision must be right. He then goes and practices this, and hilariously, the episode unfolds with exceptional results for him. From getting the girl to getting the job, it becomes his religion. I love this concept because it's a really it's a really apt metaphor for coaching and how coaching works. Our behavior and our nervous systems as a result of conditioned or practiced thoughts and behavior become so used to doing what is expected of us that to choose something that intuitively feels right for us literally feels like defiance. You do it once, ooh, you did the opposite. It's very scary, but you got away with it. You didn't die. You did it the second time because you intuitively knew, I know this looks great, but it's not right for me. You start to literally, like George, understand opposite is my religion.
Well, everything was perfect and going according to plan until I decided to do the opposite in my marriage. I'm just kidding. Because when I met Max at 24.
Yeah.
He was 23. I fell madly in love, which I thought was the only way to fall in love with someone was immediately you have to have like an earth-shattering moment, which I did with him. He's like really handsome, really smart, really put together. Everybody loves him. And I kind of fell deeply and fast. And then it's just like everything was perfectly according to plan. And I got married at 29. We had kids at 32. It was like all according to my plan. I was building my real estate career. My childhood was still perfect, and my parents were perfect. And so I just was like pretty disconnected. I think as I look back, I was probably living at like an 8 to 10 in my stress level. And just, in my box trying to prove to the world that I could handle everything. Mm-hmm. When I started having kids, I planned them perfectly with when it would be best for my work schedule. So I never had to take a maternity leave and I would have babies on a Friday, go back to work on Monday. I had to prove to the world that I could do it all. I was this strong, powerful mom who didn't skip a beat in business and was a perfect, loving wife and had all these friends and all the things. And then where kind of the transformational shock and change came or was forced was when I got pregnant with the twins. So it was COVID. I feel like everybody has their COVID story. And Max thought I was crazy. Bridgie, McKenna was at this point, I don't know, less than 2.
That's your eldest, yes.
Yeah, because we had, effectively what ended up happening is we had 4 kids in 3 years, which was never the plan. And so we blitzed it, but I was like hyper intense. So I was like, it's COVID. I don't have clients coming in town. I'm not traveling all the time. Let's go for our 3rd. If it doesn't happen in this month, then we can wait a year and a half.
Yeah.
COVID, I had a trip planned to Italy. I had all these things I was supposed to be going to do. But then in June, I got shingles, so we couldn't try in June. Tried in July, boom, pregnant. My perfect plan coming. So then,
for the shingles, which are very telling.
Yeah, that I was stressed out of my mind.
Exactly right.
But I wasn't.
But I wasn't.
Perfect.
Because my life is perfect.
You should look at my Instagram.
You know what the first thing the rabbi said to me, David Guillaume, the teacher that we share, that we love, the first thing he ever said was, nothing happens suddenly. Continue.
So then, and this just kind of shows where I was in my life. It was COVID. Nobody was traveling. Everything was on Zoom. At 16 weeks, basically, long story short, it was a really complicated pregnancy. I had like an emergency surgery where both were supposed to die, or maybe one was supposed to die. It was a true miracle. There's only 5 places in the country that can perform the surgery. Just so happened that one of them was in Denver. My best friend got me in with them. I wasn't even going to go because I was like, I already have this doctor. They're fine. They said the doctor can come in a week. She's like, sorry, like thanks, but no thanks, but you're going in tomorrow. I was in emergency surgery like 12 hours later. I had the luckiest outcome the hospital's ever had.
Truly, poo, poo, poo.
I Zoomed from the neck up my entire pregnancy and did not tell one person I was pregnant, let alone with twins, let alone having this intense process. I didn't want to, I was like, nobody will ever work with me again. When I found out I was pregnant with the twins, nobody will ever work with me again. Nobody will hire me. Nobody will take me seriously. How can you have 4? I mean, literally, listen to this like craziness.
It's quite common.
Had the twins on, I didn't even have enough self-worth to think that my clients would still want to work with me if I took a maternity leave when I had 4 kids under 3. I mean, so obviously I broke. I broke, had the babies on a Monday, went to work had the babies on literally 5 o'clock on a Friday, big party, best outcome we could have had. Went back to work on Monday. And from there, I don't know if you guys remember, but it was when the travel ban was lifted. So then all my clients could travel again. And the faucet just turned on like so intensely in my real estate life that I just went so turbo that my partner at the office said to me, he said, Courtney, if you continue down this path, you're going to wake up in 20 years and you're not going to know your kids. And I was so pissed at him. Of course, because I couldn't believe he said that to me. Because he was wrong.
How rude.
Because he was wrong, because I was such a good mom, so present. Just kidding, obviously not. But then this leads me to the next moment that I did the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So he brought in basically this mindfulness coach who did an 8-week program with us. And he had us sit down, and he recaps this for me, 2 minutes where he had us sit in silence. And those 2 minutes, I shut my eyes, and I can like feel it right now. And I feel like it was the first time I slowed down in my whole life. Yeah. And I was like, well, it just brought, I started feeling some calm and peace and just recognizing, okay, if I want to go into this life as a mom doing things differently, or having patience for my children, not actually laying in bed with them, putting them to sleep, wishing they'd go to bed so I could just email. I had to change something. So my whole company did this 8-week program, and then it was to lead into a 9-month intensive. And everyone else said they couldn't do it. They were too busy. And of course, I'm sitting here. I have 4 kids under 4 and the busiest work moment of my life. And I said, I have to do it. And that was a moment where I was like, I have to make the time to do this.
Yeah.
And that was really the start of the journey of connecting to myself, to listening to the whispers that became screams, and to hear myself. I hadn't ever. And it was the first time then that I admitted that, like, where some eating disorder stuff came from was like such a fucking control freak. Oh my God. And I had no idea the why. I hadn't even brought up with a therapist at one time. She was like, well, do you think any of that could have to do with your mom? And I was like, no. And it was just the unlocking of everything I was too scared to ever face.
Yeah.
And of course, obviously what came of it, the worst thing that could ever happen in the world is me realizing that the partner I had chose with these young kids, wasn't going to be able to take me into the next part of my life if I was going to live with an aligned soul.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're saying some really important things. Thank you so much for sharing so powerfully. You're doing a huge service to everyone who's listening. The first thing I want to say is most of us don't go on the inner journey because we're not even willing to look at it. We're not even willing to look at it because what we find there is tough. I always tell the story, one of the most hilarious stories of a friend who opened my book, Gilded, to the first page, read the first page and went, that doesn't apply to me. And I just went, that's an interesting response to one page. Just an interesting response to one page. Methinks thou doth protest too much. Now, I'm not disagreeing. It may not be for everyone. You may think that my prose is very elementary. But why would it rub you that wrong and that quickly? The second reason is also we don't even get to the understanding of our feelings because we are addicted to busyness.
Oh,
Gwyneth today is on the podcast right now, watch it, on her own podcast, saying that productivity is the ultimate numbing for an overachiever. In so many words.
So easy to hide into your phone when you're not getting what you need and want. Oh, I have emails to do.
I've got everything.
I'm getting the emotional intimacy that I need, but that's okay because I have work and I have friends and I have all these things, so I don't need that connectedness.
That's exactly right.
I'll just live kind of a more quiet life, and I have my kids, and that'll be fine. And I love this man more than anything, and it'll all be okay.
Yes, and that's when you start to go from a basic lie, a baby lie, which is I'm fine and I have stuff to do, to a really big lie. And a big lie is a lie that oppresses the soul. It's a Faustian bargain, a deal with the devil. It's when we start to really undersell what we genuinely want. That's a big lie. And you lived with that lie for quite some time, which is when I think you met Lacey, you met Jessica, and then you ended up meeting little old me.
Yeah. Can I share about how I met you?
I'd love to.
Okay, I'd love to. So at that point, I had done all my TBMing. You know what really brought me there? This is funny because
TBM is to be magnetic.
Yeah. So you obviously met Kathleen. I had never told anyone that I was ever unhappy, of course, because I would never do that. Because I wasn't unhappy.
Exactly. Because you didn't even know that you were unhappy.
Yeah, that's fair. And she gave me a bracelet at Christmas, and this is before I was agnostic to Taylor Swift. I didn't like or dislike, appreciated that she was a businesswoman. Kathleen gave me a bracelet that said "It's an art," which for anybody here who doesn't know the song and the reference, it's I can do it with a broken heart. And she just knew. She knew without knowing.
Yeah.
I had never said anything. And
by the way, do you know what the line is after that?
What?
I'm so depressed I act like it's my birthday.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. And so I think I'm holding it all together so beautifully.
Yeah.
And then I'd been doing all the TBM work. Truly got kind of addicted to the feeling of that. I would say daily journey through my soul. It was like an adventure, the excavation, finally admitting when I was sad.
Yeah.
Learning how to grieve and kind of let go of pain and how to feel. So I'm doing all of this.
Yeah, it's an amazing release, just like you described in that mindfulness moment.
with the a lot of resistance from home, because I'm now becoming a different person,
Sure.
completely different person, because to have the patience to live in my life in a way that I wanted to, I had to change everything. So fast forward to when I really, really started the inner child work, which I know you don't want me to get stuck here, and I won't. But it was...
I'm okay with inner child work.
But I thought I was going to heal in the tensions with my mom alone and never bring it up. And then it was a full moon in Charleston when Tortured Poets had come out, and Kathleen had me stay up till midnight to listen to it. And it was the first time I'd really listened to Taylor Swift. And So Long London came on, and I didn't even know at that moment how relevant that would feel for me. But to me, that's kind of like what was happening to me in my soul. Yeah. And it just kind of unleashed, and I finally like shared all the things with my mom that I never was able to share. And then the next couple of days, my dad on speaker with my mom, like always, said, "You need to apologize to your mom. You upset her." And it was also the first time Kathleen saw like all the things come true of how my mom kind of responded to me, all the things that, and so it was just this moment where I was just like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like things are okay when they're not okay. And it was just, and I texted Connor that I had done, my little brother, that I did it all. And he's like, well, oh shit, you broke the dam. Like you let the floodgates open. And it was the beginning of radical honesty in ways to where, and of course my relationship with them, my parents, is better than ever, because it's like we all needed the healing. Like the eggshells it was just so intense. So then, and not getting into the whole story with Max, but finally just got to this breaking point where I was like, this isn't how I want to live my life. I can't do this. You're better than this. I'm better than this. And the worst part is we're good. I don't want to be good.
Yeah.
I want to be great.
I want to be great.
I want to be, and you're this amazing man. I can't even sit, and there's nothing wrong. There's no addiction. There's no cheating. There's literally, you're this beautiful man. But if I want to live my life with the passion and joy and all of these things, what finally flipped for me is I was like, wait, what if something isn't wrong with me? And what if nothing's wrong with him? What if I don't actually need to spend 3 hours a day to get myself in the right mindset? What if we actually can't live with ease? Because I have to have emotional intimacy and connection. Like so the boundary work is like, I finally got to that place. I have to have love and connection. I have to go out on dinner dates. I have to do all these things. So then fast forward into the darkest hole of my life. Because I've always been I've had a million friends, and they're all supportive, and everybody loves me and tells me how great I am all the time. And obviously I thrive off of external approval and all of it. And then all of a sudden, nobody understands. I'm a villain. And everybody kind of hates me. Yeah. Truly. I'm being publicly shamed by people that don't agree with it. Like all these things. But I had the strength to kind of be like, I have to listen to my body. They're like, even telling my kids, McKenna's like, wait, you're leaving. And I had the strength to be like, we can share that it was my decision. And she's like, wait, you're leaving just because you're not feeling the way you want to feel? And I'm like, yeah, I know it's hard to understand. So fast forward to meeting you. So that was maybe, I had separated in September, and that was February.
I think this is breathtaking, and just a moment to clarify something to the listener. There are 2 points I'd like to make. It's very hard for us to detect our own malaise and our own aimlessness, particularly when we're overachievers. And sometimes music can actually get you there. When you get lost in a lyric and it really resonates with you, I want you to pay attention. For me, of course, it all comes back to Madonna. Madonna made an album called Ray of Light. And in Ray of Light, she's going through the Kabbalah phase, and she's hitting the Kabbalah hard. She's hitting the sauce. Her rabbi, Eitan Yardeni, was on that album. There's a song in it called Substitute for Love. And I don't know why, but I remember that song haunted me for at least 10 years after it came out. A substitute for love, a substitute for love. The replacement of real intimacy for glossy and appropriate and respectable. listen to the lyrics. We're not superciliously offering you Taylor Swift here. I'm so depressed I act like it's my birthday every day is a hell of a lyric, and it's really, really important if we're truly deeply resonating to poke at it a little longer. The second thing you're saying that I really want everybody to hear, but I don't want you to be deterred by, is that when you decide to rise, any kind of rise, by the way, even when you decide to eat healthier, you will immediately come up against resistance. Resistance from your family, resistance from your closest friends. That is just a test. It is a test. A test is a moment at which the universe is basically probing you to see how bad do you really want your freedom. And your job is to stay steady, continue to quote unquote do the opposite so that you can overcome the test. And as you do, you will the really deep work will finally become available to you. If you don't, if you take the bait and go, no, you know what? Fine, I'll just stay here. Please still like me. Let me apologize to my mom here. You will have taken the bait, and you will only be, unfortunately, delaying your own progression. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You just made me think of something where I also did the opposite in my deepest rock bottom. All my friends are in Mexico, and I had chosen not to go because I knew what was going to happen. It was just going to be everybody telling me I should get back together with Max, and he was really sad, and I was sad, and we were just in a really sad place. It just wasn't right. And it was I had basically just met Mark.
Mark is your new
my new
beloved.
boyfriend, and it was the weekend.
And if I may say, the handsomest man.
It was the weekend before, and I had gotten, at this point, we're co-nesting at the house. So I'm like a foot in my old life, a foot in my new life. And
co-nesting means you live together?
No. He would go to an apartment or I would go to a condo, but the kids stayed in one place while we were trying to figure it out. And at this point, the kids didn't know anything. And we were just still trying to figure it all out. But I needed like emotional space to figure out what I actually wanted. I had to quiet all the noise and have more silence, which for me, if anybody like knows me, I lived with severe FOMO my whole life, which obviously explains a lot of other issues that I had, but working through, So just to set it up, but I was in this moment where Max looks at me and he says, what were you doing last weekend? Who is this Mark? Do you like him? And he was looking me in the eyes and I said, yeah, I do. And then after I said that, I was like, fuck, why did I just say that? Why didn't I lie? So then he goes to Mexico with all my friends. And look, they're having an amazing time, but I'm sad because I'm not there with them. It's not like it's all about me there, but it still is like wildfire gossip. So the rock bottom workshop, the TBM, one of the main things is it says, sit in your grace. When you're just like eating shit and maybe people are smearing your name or all these different things, don't go out and grandstand and campaign.
That's right.
Stay sturdy in yourself. And this is a moment where I did the opposite and I just took walks and I didn't go out and campaign for my side of the story and I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And I sat in it and it was like, I need to give everything time. I need to give everybody time. Everyone is upset. It was like a ripple through a lot of our community because Max and I are good. We're still good. But see that look. I sat in it, but it was about a couple weeks later that I was like, wait, I really like Mark. Mm. But I can't, I'm like still having all these very deeply emotional conversations all the time. I can't pursue anything with him truly until I let go of this. I was President's Day weekend. I had my kids. Every morning I woke up in tears. I was like, I think I'm slipping into like a deep depression. This is not me. It's taking everything to be there for my kids, to work. I am in the worst place possible. And then your episode came out on TBM and I listened to it 5 times and I was like, oh my God, this woman, she just has the most powerful voice. I need this. I'm so stuck. I'm hurting. My heart is broken. I really don't have a community. I don't have anybody to really lean on because nobody's going through this and nobody understands. And it's not to say actually that people wouldn't have understood, but it was a moment I just needed to go inside. But anyway, so then I remember I was making coffee. I was like, I just need to reach out to Coach Keren and see if she would talk to me. And then we spoke, and it was amazing. And then you told me how much it costs. And I said, thanks, but no thanks. I'm about to be on my own. And you're like, okay, great. I wish you the best. And then I read your book that weekend. I listened to every podcast that you had done. And you pulled me out of the darkest cloud, truly the darkest cloud of my life. I was like, I'm going to be stuck. I'm going to lose my life over this. My guilt and my shame and my pain. Like I need professional help. I don't think I can be the mom I want to. I can't even move on. Yeah. I couldn't even answer the phone. I love chatting. My favorite thing in the world is to chat. I could barely work. Yeah. The guys in my office were like worried. So then on Monday, I was like, all right, Keren, we're doing this. And from there, it's like, you're like, well, you can stay in purgatory as long as you want. And I was like, well, yep. Without you, I probably will stay there forever, hating myself for this. Anyway, so I love you.
I love you too, and I'm so glad that you found the work. Now I'd like to refine this a little bit because from my perspective, I can see it a little more clearly. You know, there's an amazing scene in that movie, Almost Famous, that made Kate Hudson very famous, in which she keeps asking this kid, how old are you? 15. How old are you? 15. How old are you? 13. And she goes, the truth just sounds different, doesn't it? This is the gift that all coaches share. We can smell when you're lying. And that's what's very, very important, is to be able to actually tolerate that heat. You have to have something different, actually, from the fear of regret. And you're describing it very well. This might cost me enormously if I don't go this way, but I saw something very different in you, and it's what I'm always looking for in clients. It's not if I don't do this, I might actually die. It's something else. There's something I recognize in what you represent, Keren, that I really want. It's desire. What I'm smelling for is desire. Now, what I can't do is drag you into it. You have to be willing to fully put your money where your mouth is.
Where you are a projector.
Yeah. I also learned that from David Guillaume, by the way, who will link to Be Magnetic and the Kabbalah work of David Guillaume.
And you introduced me to Kabbalah and David Guillaume. And
David Guillaume, Eitan Yardeni, will link everything.
Changed my whole life.
Truly, truly amazing and remarkable work. But another thing he always said to me was, Keren, if an old lady doesn't want to cross the street, don't drag her. In other words,
I've been dragging everyone my whole life, forcing it. Yeah. We're both projectors.
We're looking for martyrdom when in fact, all we can do is say, and projector is a concept from Human Design. If you're interested in that, we'll link more resources below. Every one of these episodes is a treasure trove of information and knowledge for those who are seeking it.
Life-changing.
To understand this is to just understand that my job is to hold this wisdom, and if you desire it enough, you will join me. If not, I get it. In other words, we don't really go through the work without the ability and the desire to go through the work. Mm-hmm. That's why I always say you can never force people to do the work. You can only recommend that they try it out.
Well, it's such a good point. I was trying to force it on Max, and it didn't work. And he's now
not there.
He's now found his own way because he needed to do it on his own. But it was the beautiful part of meeting Mark. When I met him, I was like, oh my God. I have been told my whole life that I wanted too much, and it was always too much, and I was too much, and I needed to compromise here and there. I wasn't going to get everything I needed and wanted in all these places. And then I met him, and the feeling of the love and connection, I was like, this is it. This is what I fought for. And I fucking knew it existed.
It's very true. But it's a very different one. So I want to actually spend time here. So what coaching is, the process of coaching is designed at one thing. It's killing your identity.
Oh my God, the number of ego deaths I've had and still will have.
This is the process of murder.
Oh, and that's what I went through.
Murder. Exactly. So this is an ego death. It's an identity death. I want to ask you, because you just said I had several, what were the identities that you think you've released, and which was the hardest one to release?
The idea of not having a homogenous family. We separated, and then it was Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I'm getting Christmas cards from everyone. These beautiful, it's literally the number one thing I've ever wanted in my whole life is a family with my kids and my husband. Yeah. And like I said, I didn't even know one person that had ever gotten divorced. And so And it still is the thing that holds me up sometimes, like this idea of not being kind of the leader of the family. You know, you bring in other kids and another family, and all of a sudden you're not like, you know, I love being praised. You're not praised by the other kids. They're not your kids. And so it's taking off my ring. I mean, I know those things sound simple.
They're not.
But go out into public without your wedding ring after you've been married for 10 years and have this beautiful family, and then you're single.
Yeah, it's because you're wrapping your identity around it. And the identity that you're wrapping against, I just want to make sure everybody can relate to this, because it's not technically about family. It's not technically about marriage.
Ooh, tell
The
me what it
identity
is.
is the identity of being perfect, or the identity of being acceptable, the identity of being respectable, or the identity of being chosen.
Moral.
Exactly, moral superiority. All of these are identities. They're ego identities. And we find basically our way. I found my way to moral superiority. I'm smarter than everybody else. Do you know how many degrees I have? It's comical. Look at my LinkedIn. That's an identity. And then what happens is when that ruptures, when you start realizing your degrees are worth nothing, that you can't keep a marriage. And by the way, your marriage is not real, because it's not exactly what you want it to be. You have to then contend with literally an identity death, and many of us deal with it as if it were a real death, which brings me to the first stage. The first stage of grief is, according to Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, it is denial.
Oh, sorry. I blacked out for a second.
And denial is followed by bargaining.
The bargaining phase. That's where you met me. I'm still stuck
I'm
there.
actually, just so you know, I'm still actually happy and everything is still cool. But I'm not cool, and I really do hate this. But I'm really fine.
But
that's
fine,
bargaining.
But he shows up in this ways, and he was, for the record, bargaining too.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
We're trying to make a deal with God, basically saying, I tell you what, if I behave really, really well, just let me stay in my cocoon for a little bit longer. Again, it's a little bit more advanced than denial. Denial is just, there is no problem.
Yeah.
But it still, unfortunately, doesn't lead you into where you need to go. And where I'm always hoping to meet you is the next stage, which is anger. Anger is desire.
Really quick, back to bargaining for a second. It's where, in defining my boundaries and my edges of what was a non-negotiable for me in my life, that's what helped me get out of the bargaining phase. Like, wait, no, I have to have emotional intimacy and connection. I have.
And what does that sound like? Which emotion does that sound like?
I don't know.
I have to have this. This is non-negotiable. I can and I will. Anger.
Oh.
Third stage.
Oh, good.
That's why I said this is desire. This is desire. Anger is a destructive emotion only if we let it start to slip down. But if it's starting to move us up, we're actually finally coming out of shame. We're finally coming out of shame for long enough to actually acknowledge the problem. And we actually then are, I said actually too many times, are ready to climb into an emotion that is willing to give us a hand and move us forward. Now, it's not the end, unfortunately, of the journey, because as you know, you enter coaching, you start to face all of the demons, and then you will involuntarily move into a form of depression.
Can I ask an anger question real
Sure.
quick? Okay. So if, as you pointed out so eloquently to me earlier this week in your epic email, thank you.
I like writing long emails like you.
Oh, we're a match made in heaven.
We are.
If my number one issue, core issue, is when I feel unseen, like the unjustness there just like brings up a lot of anger. What I've realized, if that is hard on me, when I feel like my kids are unseen, I want to fucking kill someone.
Sure.
So before we get
projection.
Before we get into that phase of my kids' lives where I'm going to ruin their lives because I'm being a psycho mom, how can I work through that anger phase? Because when I feel like they're being judged, if I'm in the right mindset, it's fine. It's like, it's okay. Like, this is going to happen. It's supposed to. They're great. If I'm in the wrong mindset, like I was 2 days ago, I mean, I wanted to burn the place down.
Yeah. I can feel that.
Yeah. Oh, can you feel the anger?
No, I can feel that, and I can relate to it, because I too
intense.
can go to burn the house down place. I remember my mother moving into that place. Bad. I remember my mother once picking me up at the 3rd grade, and she found out that Cynthia Rasnick had not invited me to her sleepover birthday.
Ooh.
My mother goes down to the level of a 3-year-old, looks her in the eye and goes, "Why did you not invite my daughter to your party?" With her heavy Israeli accent. What she could have done and what you can do is the following.
Yeah.
Take a moment. First, take a beat. It's not always available to us, but we can always take a beat in our mind.
Yeah.
Start asking ourselves, what's the problem here? Is it really this problem, or is it the way I'm about to respond that's going to be a bigger problem? We've walked people through the pause principle here before. I want to make it a little more nuanced. The second question I would ask here is not what else might be going on here, is it possible I'm projecting something here?
Yeah, what am I assuming that's wrong?
Yes, exactly. When I'm always, my feeling, and this is very projector, is bitterness. It's
mine too.
Of course.
Oh, obviously.
And the bitterness is like they
this
should
level.
understand me and I'm being taken advantage of. And you start to feel resentment. And then you just ask yourself, is this a projection? Am I really mad at them or am I mad at me? And then I start asking myself, where have I betrayed myself here? Where am I not behaving as I should here?
Right.
And this, just a few moments of mindfulness, of thinking through things, they help you to chill out. That chill will allow you to curb the reflex and help you not to react, but to respond. Totally. This won't always go seamlessly, but to me, that's the definition of success. You and I, before we defined success as getting stuff and looking fantastic. Today, success to me is the ability to curb my reactivity for long enough that I can show up as my true self, which is a compassionate human being. That's it.
Well, I liked in our coaching session the other day when you talked about how you cannot, if you're in judgment of yourself or others, you can't give the warmth and love. And I think before I found mindfulness, that really resonated for me because I spent so much time in stress and in judgment or in bitterness or whatever I was in hiding. And so my number one goal, I'm like a very loving person, deep soulful connections. I mean, it's like part of my authentic code. But I wasn't doing that when I was in my own head, my insecurity, or I should be skinnier, I should look like this, I need to achieve this. Or, I'm not thinking of others in that moment, not because I'm selfish, but I'm in my head.
It's true. And you look so loving, but you're not. You're blocking the love.
Totally.
There's a wonderful Madonna lyric, of course, that works here.
Okay.
Which is, before I learned to love myself, I was never really loving anybody else.
All your pop culture references fall flat on me. Okay. All right.
But that's a really good song.
It's a really good line, yeah.
And it's a really good line.
Yeah.
And it actually leads in very well to what you're building now, and I want to ask you about.
Yeah.
So you have, through coaching, realized that especially the part where you became kind of a junkie and like we're really obsessed with this work might actually be telling, and not only because of your need for the journey, but also of your love of the material, your love of the actual subject. So can you talk about how this evolution has come about and what you're building now?
Well, it's twofold. Starting a podcast, which I actually had all the equipment 2 years ago to start a podcast, and then I gave it away because it didn't feel right, which, thank God, I wasn't aligned. I was like, this just isn't right. Mm-hmm. I couldn't have done it. I mean, I would have been too much of a perfectionist. I would have thought, what am I going to look like, or what am I going to say? Am I going to sound dumb? I mean, I just would have been way too in my head and in fear of other people's judgment. But then I actually put myself in the true judgment of others and realized, oh, I'm still breathing. Yeah, the people that are going to come with me, who I love, who love me, they're still here. Mm-hmm. I'm going to meet new expanders. So starting a podcast and a coaching business, in addition to like an expansion of my real estate career.
Yeah. Very smart to do things co-curricularly.
The podcast to me is a way to go deeper in the journey, have interesting conversations. I don't want it to be overplanned and overscripted. I just want to meet interesting people and have conversations like this that are just kind of beautiful, and people who are on the journey. And just like when I met you and I said, what did you say the other day? It was so funny. Like, I came to you and said, well, I've done all the work.
Yeah. You were like,
and I was like a little asshole.
Work. I know what's going on. And, I said, well, what are you doing here?
So just a continuous journey of, because I used to be so defensive. I couldn't have heard that and thought it was funny. But now it's like these old versions of myself are hilarious. So I'm just like ready for what's to come. And I want to go on this beautiful journey with people like you and people who are in this community who are just really, really doing the work. because I do crave it and love it, and it's beautiful. It's what I want to talk about all day, every day. I mean, like doing some of my real estate deals, they're cool for, I'm like a deal junkie, but some of the other parts of it, it's like, I don't need that anymore to
But
make.
you'll see that all the
I don't need
components
to
will
feel-
serve you
Of
enormously.
course, it's really interesting personal dynamics. That's why I've loved it for so long. But then the coaching piece, I mean, I've always, in that instance, had an abundant mindset in the sense, I think everyone can win.
Yeah.
I've always thought everyone can win. And like, you can be successful, I can be successful, we all can. I see your beautiful gifts and want you to thrive. I see my sister and I want her to thrive. And it's just like always been a gift. When you said in one of your, I don't know what it was, the workshop, like, what is something people have come to you for organically forever? And it is like a pep talk. How do we have fun in this life? How do we enjoy it? How do we like excavate whatever's holding us back, which there's a lot of irony since I was actually not doing the work, but I was really pushing other people to. Just being like open and authentic and powerful and all these things. So the reason I'm doing your coaching program is because I need to go from, like, let's just call it, I would say A to B, but I need to go to Z. And I know I can inspire people and hear them and see them and then help, give them like a loving push. Like, you were that powerful voice for me. I know I've been that to others and can be that for others. I just don't have the tools to, like how you always have an answer to everything on why things are happening. I need to just sharpen my skills so that I have those answers.
Exactly, but it's just a sharpening of the
Yeah,
skills.
yeah, I know I
good
can
news
build
for
them.
everybody listening. By the time this episode airs, she will already be done. And so we're going to link all of the ways to connect with you and to check your workout. You're already having, though, very powerful conversations. What are the powerful conversations already teaching you? What do they feel like?
They feel euphoric.
Yeah.
Like presence and flow to me. Like when I look at my 4 gene keys, I was talking to Kathleen about it, like being in flow and just being present with someone, having adventures, doing new things. I mean, it's my lifeblood.
Yeah.
And if I'm not doing it, I'm withering.
I love that you said that, because that's exactly it. I always can tell who's going to be successful. I have a gift. And it's the people who just can't do anything else.
Yeah, I can't think about anything else.
It's literally like when I met an actor, and I remember just going, your moment will come. You love this. You are alive when you do this. There is nothing else for you. So I'm sorry to tell you, but you're stuck with it. Once you feel that euphoria, that's it.
I think that I don't need this whole process of going through a separation, and it's shown me I don't need a big team. I just need the right team. Having you, having Mark, having Kathleen, having Jill, having some of my closest friends, having my parents, having the support where I need it.
Yeah.
But really having you telling me that, because I don't think you'd BS anyone, but telling me that you think I can do it, it makes me feel like I kind of just like build this trust muscle. What holds me up currently is just like, I don't know the tech side of things, or I don't know how to record videos. I feel very awkward doing that. I don't have a production crew, marketing, all the things.
Tell you what,
I feel
before
good.
you go down that ridiculous rabbit hole,
Yes.
let me just say that's very easy, and I'll be very happy to share. You want to DM me? I will email you answers to those exact questions. But the real work here, the real work is the ability to first know who you are, take the time to get to know who you are, and then the courage to be who you are. This is it. This is the entire game. For me, finding people like you who fall madly in love with who they are and then let their freak flag fly is where I put all my money. And by the way, I just want to say over the top, that's one of the interesting things about why I don't BS people. I would love to. I have the spine of a gummy worm, and I want everybody to like me. And the worst part about my job, the worst part of my job is how many difficult conversations I have to have on a daily basis. The conversations I have are a lot like that scene in The Devil Wears Prada where Andy comes in basically just looking for a hug from Nigel. And he goes, "Wake up, Six. You are not trying. You are whining." The job is to tell people the truth. you are born for this, or with due respect, I think you're barking up the wrong tree because you're not willing to let go of respectable to actually own what you are. And it's a joy to be able to do that because the people who can take it, a lot of people unfortunately fight,
Yeah.
are really, really, they make enormous use of this.
Well, what it did is it helped me to accelerate living my dream life. I mean, we've gone on now, like, in just choosing to be able to love Mark.
Look what a year
Like the
you've had.
number of, I mean, everything, all these things felt so hard. I've wanted to go to Italy for 20 years. It just has felt so hard. Everything has felt hard. We've gone twice in the last month.
It's incredible.
I mean, the amount of like,
You're in Austin for the second time.
for the
in a
second
month.
time. And I just like, this is what my adventure and spontaneity, I mean, it is where my soul thrives. It is alignment for me. And so not staying in purgatory, not staying in like the guilt and shame and the pain of like that decision.
Yeah.
And now kind of seeing to believe where my life can be. My kids are great. My co-parenting relationship is incredible. We are showing up as parents the way we never could before because we let all the other stuff go, all the angst of not being able to live with ease. And now we are just like fully lockstep.
I love it.
Doing what's right for our kids. And my kids adore Mark. Obviously they adore him. But just like these things I think I wouldn't have allowed myself to do. It's just like, but who's judging? What box do I think I'm living in?
There is no
There's
box.
just like, there's no box. I
There's
loved
no
that from
fucking box.
There's
Lacey
no
Phillips said
yes.
that to be magnetic.
There's no,
There is no
box.
box.
And when I find myself putting myself in a box and asking myself some of the questions that you asked the other day, which is like, where are you, or maybe correct me, but like, where are you subconsciously, or that's not the word you used, unconsciously performing? What did you say?
Where's the performance?
Yeah, where's the performance? And asking myself that truly, where am I still performing? Where am I aligned and where am I performing? And those questions I think are what are going to allow me to go into this next business with podcasting and coaching with true vulnerability and alignment, where I'm not doing it for anybody's approval, at which case I would crash and burn because I could never, you can like please people, which we,
that's right.
And so I found that to be really powerful too. Just like kind of that simple question of where am I lying to myself?
Exactly.
It's just like such a beautiful gift to be able to ask that and truly answer it.
Without shame.
I'll be a better mom without shame,
Without
without
shame.
guilt. I'll be a better mom. I'll be a better friend.
Yeah.
I'll be better. I'll do in real estate and all these different things if I'm just more authentic with like, these are my skill sets. This is what I'm going to do. I'll be a better partner in this new partnership that I have. To be open and show up and love. You can't, in Max's defense, I didn't love myself. When we were married, I didn't love myself. I've always been confident, but I didn't have true self-worth. I said it with the kid example, having babies and not being able to say to my clients, I needed to take a couple weeks to heal. Madness. I know there's other women that do it. We just
I have several clients who have told this story on this podcast.
Oh, okay. Just like trying.
They're like, I scheduled a C-section on a Thursday so that I could make sure to be back at work on a Monday, and I was like, okay.
And there's like a level of hustle that I appreciate. Like I do appreciate the grind that I've put in my 20s and 30s, but I also greatly appreciate that those parts of me that got me to basically 38, 39. That I was able to let them go. They were able to shed because they're not what are going to get me into this next chapter with kind of the beauty and grace and warmth and vulnerability and just relationships I want. It's what I fell for in Mark. I was like, wait, you're this badass of a developer. I've worked with you for this long. First of all, I had no idea you were so cool. And you're behind the scenes. You're not stressed. Where's your stress? What are you doing? How are you doing this? And he literally, work does not stress him out.
Yeah.
His priority is his kids, his family, his friends, at this point, me, and putting our relationship first to see a man, because I had never seen a man. While I adore my dad more than anything in the world, he is 70 and he still works till 9 o'clock at night and every weekend. And my brother, sister, and I, we all have crazy workaholic tendencies. And it's not to say that I don't appreciate the grit and the resilience, but when it becomes an overworking situation to maybe mask a lot of pain, We don't need to do that anymore.
But that's what's so wonderful about what you've attracted. And the way you've attracted it is by renouncing the one thing, which is control. Performance is control. All forms of control are essentially a performance, controlling how much I eat, controlling how much I say, controlling how much I work. This is all performance, controlling how I appear to other people. When you surrender the control, you actually do move into a magnetic phase. The law of attraction cannot hear anything other in control other than force. Force automatically signals to the universe, you're trying way too hard, which means you don't believe. And if you don't believe it because of your low worth, your low sense of worth, you actually cannot allow all the goodness to come to you. So unfortunately, all of us need to decondition this and to really learn how to let ourselves have what we were born to have. And it's a joy to see you finally claiming what you were born to have.
You know what I feel when you say that, and I see it come up when I am really stressed, like even through parts of like the separation, when I'm really, really stressed, I notice like real emotional eating, not like but like where I would eat like 5 pieces of pizza. Of course, I don't need 5 pieces of pizza. Nobody does. But these moments where it's like true emotional weight on my body.
Yeah.
And then when I'm just like in flow, having fun, traveling, working, really present with my kids, all these things, it literally, with doing nothing, it falls away.
It's the way, yeah.
It literally just falls away.
Yeah.
And just the amount I even think about, like, I used to be so mean to myself when I did the 9-month mindfulness program I talked about. I remember saying to one of my buddies, Parker Brown, he made like a nice comment about his body. And I was like, wait, you like appreciate how you look? And
I didn't realize you could do that.
I didn't know you could be nice to yourself. Like, cause I'd just been so self-loathing for so long. He's like, well, it's the only body I have. Who's going to love it if I don't? And it was the most beautiful comment. I was like,
yeah.
Oh, well,
now you understand.
That's amazing.
How I feel about you. You're the only Courtney I'll ever meet. Why would I not love you? And how can everybody else love you? Can you please share the podcast and where they can find you? And by the way, by the time we come to the airing of this episode, we'll be able to link
everything.
all of the ways to get in touch with Courtney.
So it'll be Bear and Brave Productions is kind of what's going to house everything. My podcast is Am I Allowed to Do This? Yeah. Which you nailed, and we referenced that email. You were like, I'm giving you permission. All you've been looking for is permission from the universe to go and live this life you want to live. You have it. And so that's how I feel. I was working with Tracy, the producer you put me in contact with, because you're just kind of like teeing me up.
We love
new
Tracy
life.
DeForge.
We love her. But she was like, you've said it a couple times. Like in these moments where I have these breakthroughs, like, am I allowed to do this with my life? This is crazy. Am I allowed to do this? She's like, it just keeps resonating with me. And so I think that's why I've liked it, because it is permission.
I just love it.
To go live. And then my coaching business currently, I don't know, doesn't have a name. It'll just be coaching. I don't know.
Coach Courtney.
Coach Courtney just might.
But we will be linking it below. And so the mystery is about to become revealed, and we're very, very excited about it. I will actually give you one piece of advice.
Please do.
Do not name the business after yourself. Always give it a real name. I was so smart to call it With Enthusiasm Coaching. Keren Eldad has survived for a very long time. I'm very happy that people are still looking for me. But ultimately, I want the work to outlive me. And that's what we really, really want.
100%. I definitely want to build something within this space that lives and breathes way beyond me. It's kind of like TBM. It's like a living, breathing soul that is much larger. And so, I haven't really nailed my coaching name yet.
But we're getting
Maybe
there.
it's just Bear and Brave. I don't know.
Oh, I love Bear and Brave.
Do you think men would sign up for Bear and Brave? Maybe the kind of men I want to coach.
I think the kind of men you want to coach would absolutely
I want to
love
attract them.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe we came up with it together.
I think so. Courtney, thank you so much for sharing everything with such openness and such honesty. I happen to know for a fact that anyone who has listened to this is probably thinking right now, why can't you go on for another hour? That was amazing. You were speaking directly to my soul. And that's usually what happens when we have a truly honest conversation and we leave nothing behind. That is the kind of sharing that's required for the elevation of other souls. So I can't tell you how excited I am for you and how excited I am for this journey. How happy I am to finally see you come home.
Well, I adore you and I appreciate you, and I really love you and everything you've done for my life.
Well, that's a good thing because you're never going to get rid of me now.
I hope not.
Thanks,
you.
everybody, for watching the Coached Podcast, for listening to the Coached Podcast. Here's the ick part. Please give us a review, subscribe to the show so that we can keep bringing you more. As a projector, I find that super cringe.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we are so thrilled that 20,000 of you are already subscribed and running into more and more of these episodes. At this point, we're thrilled at how the show is
Is that
going.
a surprise to you?
We're so excited.
I would listen. I just want to listen to your advice all day, every day.
Oh, thank you.
You're amazing.
I really thought it was just my mom. Hi, Mom, by the way. But I really am thrilled that y'all are loving it. And we're going to keep coming back with more and more coaching mastery right here for you. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.